ExcelR. We don't just train, we build careers.
Hello everyone. So far we have learned how we can load our data in the Tableau. We as well created certain very interesting basic charts which were able to give us some preliminary insights into the data. We then moved on to applying the filters on the data and also creating certain calculated fields. And now we will go ahead and learn about how we can join the data from different sources, maybe from different file types or maybe from different sources of the data, and we can collate everything into a single master data set and try to get some more insights into our data set. So many a times what happens is that our files or our data is in different kind of sources or maybe in different type of files. So in order to join that data, we need to bring it to a single platform. So Tableau can serve as that platform where we can join the data set coming from different file types, and then we can go ahead and try to use the different fields from those different files and build our visuals. So that's the agenda. We will learn about the data blending. We will now also go ahead and learn about the need of data blending and the different types of joins that we can apply on our data sets. Then we will do some data blending using the Netflix data that I will be showing you in a while. And then once we have blended our data, we will then go ahead and create the visuals with those blended data. So now I would like to open my Tableau and show you how exactly we can go ahead with the blending of data. So let's understand what exactly is data blending. So data blending is a method for combining data from multiple sources. Now this brings in additional information from a secondary data source which we can combine to the primary data source and then go ahead and visualize that in the view. Also, let us know what are relationships in Tableau. So relationships preserve the original table's level of detail when combining the information. Also, they allow for context-based joins to be performed on a sheet-by-sheet basis, making each data source more flexible. So quite a lot of times we try to create the different visuals that may apply different kind of context filters. So what we can do with the help of relationships is that while preserving the preliminary essence of the data, I can go ahead and change the context on every sheet differently for different visuals. Also, relationships are the recommended method of combining data in most instances. We will learn how this can be done in Tableau. Let us also know what are data joining. So joins are a more static way to combine data, which means that it must be defined between a physical table upfront before analysis and cannot be changed without impacting all the sheets using that data source. So once you have created a join, we have to continue in the entire Tableau workbook with the same data source. Because if we try to change the join, our data in that joining table is going to be different. So basis on what kind of data we want to have in the joined table, we have the different types of joins about which I will be discussing in a while. Now, joined tables are always merged into a single table, and as a result, sometimes the joined data is missing unmatched values or duplicates the aggregated values. So if your data has got common values in both the tables, what can happen sometimes is that it may pick up only those values which are common between both the tables while ignoring those which are uncommon between both the tables. So when we try to see the data join, it is displayed as with a Venn diagram icons between different physical tables. So if you have two or more different tables on your Tableau, you can see a join with the help of a Venn diagram icon. Also, it requires you to select the join type and join clauses. This means that there are different join types about which I mentioned a while ago. Now, we need to specify which is the join type required for a particular visual and also through which column do you want to join the data. Now, joined physical tables are merged into a single logical table with a fixed combination of data. Depending upon whether you would like to have the common data between the two tables or only the data which is exclusive in either of the tables, or the data which is belonging to both the tables as a whole data set. You may want to join the data based on the different join type, and once the table has been created, the data will be in a fixed combination. So this cannot be changed at a different sheet, and we might have to go ahead and change the entire workbook in order to do a different kind of join. Now, it may as well drop unmatched measure values. So any data which is unable to find a match for itself into a different table may not be included in your visual. Also, it may duplicate aggregate values when fields are at a different levels of detail. This we will learn in a practical manner when we try to join the data using the Netflix information. Also, it supports scenarios that require a single table of data, such as the extract filter or any kind of aggregation. Now let's understand how the relationships differ from joins. So relationships are dynamic, flexible way to combine data from multiple tables for analysis. You do not define join types for relationships, so you won't see a Venn diagram when you create them. So in this manner, the relationship is different from a join, because in case of join, once you have created the data, you might have to continue using the same data in the entire workbook, because if we try to change the join type, the resultant data may be different. But that's not the case in case of a relationship table, because relationships are more dynamic and more flexible. So I might try to use a different kind of information in one sheet than the other when it's a relationship table. So think of a relationship as a contract between two tables. So when you are building a visualization with fields from these tables, Tableau brings in the data from these tables using that contract to build a query with the appropriate joins. So in that case, we can modify the join type at any point of time. So we do not need any upfront join type when it comes to relationship. Also, it is automatic and context aware. So even if I want to change the context completely into a different sheet, I can do that with the help of a relationship table or a relational table. Also, since it does not require you to use the same data source at every sheet, we can also say that it is quite flexible, and we are able to join the different tables using different context on a different sheet. When it comes to data joining, the key characteristics of data joining are that it is performed at the data source level, which means the moment you load the data into your Tableau, you should be able to perform your join basis on any kind of join type. Also, it combines the data horizontally, adding the columns from different tables. So suppose if I have two tables that have a single common column, that will be my key column, and that is the one which is going to help me to join both the tables horizontally, which means side by side. Now this would result into a table which contains all the columns from the previous table to the columns which are into the second table. Also, like I mentioned, it requires a common key between the tables, which is that common column. Also, your join could be either inner join, left join, right join, or full outer joins. Apart from these two, we also have the left anti-join and right anti-join. This is suitable for data from either the same or similar sources. So if you have data which is completely different from each other and do not contain any common information, then it would not be possible for you to do a data join. So we will learn about the data joins using the Netflix data. Let us see what is data blending. Now, data blending happens at the worksheet level. So it combines your data vertically, which means that one below the other. And it is based on a common dimension, which means you need to have common categorical information in order to do your data blending. It does not require a common key, but uses linking fields, which means that if you are joining the data vertically, you need to ensure that all the fields are matching to at least one of the fields from the other table. Always performs a left join with the primary data source, which means we need to know what left join is so that we are able to understand this point. Also, it is suitable for data from different sources or different structures. So whenever you have data which is coming into different sources or it is coming in a different structure, we can always transform them into a data blend. Now, let us understand clearly the difference between the data blending and data joining. In terms of data sources, your data blending can be combining data from multiple sources while data joining is only from a single source. With respect to the granularity, data blending allows for data availability at different levels of granularity. So I can change my level of detail when it comes to data blending, but while we talk about the data joining, it requires the data to be maintained at the single level of granularity. So here we cannot change the level of detail. So next is in terms of the aggregation. When it comes to aggregation, data blending aggregates and then combines the data, while your data joining first combines the data and then aggregates it. Performance wise, your data blending could be much faster than data joining for secondary tables with large amounts of data. On the other hand, data joining generally performs better for large data sets because the data is combined before the analysis. So once you have joined your data, even though it's on a large scale, we can go ahead and create our visuals using the data joining technique. When it comes to flexibility, data blending of course is much more flexible than the data joining. And when it comes to limitations, data blending has several limitations due to design constraints. For example, in Tableau, data blending can only execute left joins, wherein data joining can have left join, left anti, right anti, inner and outer join. So these are the different kind of joins I have just mentioned about, and now we will discuss them in detail. So now we'll go ahead and learn about what are the different types of joins. So as discussed, the types of joins are outer join, inner join, left join, right join, and apart from that we also have the left anti join and the right anti join. So whenever we want to make a data join, as mentioned earlier, we need a common column that has certain common information. So if at all I have two tables like these where we do not have any single common value between the common field, so here we have the age data set and we have the tenure data set. As you can see that we do have a common column, that is the name column. But inside the name column, none of the names happen to match from my left hand table and the right hand table. So in that case, if at all I had to perform any kind of join, either the join could have been a full outer, which means that I would have had a table that looks like this, where I have all the information about age while having null data for tenure for the top few names, and the rest of the names are from the tenure data set. So I would have a null data for age wherein I have the information for the tenure. Now this happens when I do a full outer join. Now if I happen to do inner join asks for all the common names between both the tables, and since there is no name that is common between both these tables, my inner join would return a blank table. So for a join, we must ensure that at least there has to be one common field that has some common information as well. So the name of that particular field may be different in different tables, but the information under that has to be common. So let's get started with a full outer join. Here I have again the same two tables. I have the age and tenure, but this time I have chosen the names that are common. So there are a few names in the age table which are common to the tenure table. But we also have certain names that are exclusive in age and exclusive in tenure. Now, when I do an outer join, I am essentially trying to combine all the names from the left hand table and the right hand table, including all the information that is available to me. Which means that if I just look at the name Amit, for example, now Amit belongs to table age and he also belongs to the table tenure, which means that I have both the information for Amit, the age information and the tenure information. So in my resultant table of outer join, I can see that for Amit, both my values are present. But now let's look at Kriti. Kriti is a name that belongs only to the age table, that is my left table. Since it is on the left hand side, we would refer to that as a left table, and this table, the tenure table, is on the right hand side, so we will refer to it as a right table. Now coming back to Kriti, we can see that Kriti is only belonging to the left table and not the right table. which means that in my full outer join, though I will be having the name Kriti, I will have information only for the age, but for the tenure, I will be having a null data. Let's also look at Gaurav. Gaurav is also common between age and tenure, and therefore I have both the information for Gaurav. So what a full outer join is going to do is, it will include all the names which belong to the left table and right hand side table, but coming to the column information, it will add only the information that is available in both the tables, wherein for any other value which is not available in my table, it will show a null data. That's your full outer join. Now coming to the inner join, it will select only those names from the left table and the right table that are common to both the tables, which means that Amit is a common name, Gaurav is a common name between both, Satish is also common, as well as Kate. So these are the only 4 names that it displays in the inner join, and this table is more likely to be a complete table because it picks up data only from both the tables wherein all the information is already present. So unless we have a null data in the source table itself, we have lesser chances of having a null data in an inner join. Next, we will look at the left join. When I say a data is joined by the left join, it means that it will pick up all the names from the left hand side table. So in my left hand side table, I have 6 names, and some of the names are also common with the tenure. So when I look at my left join table, I can see that all the names that are in the left side table are included here, and given that Kriti and Phil belong to only the age table or the left table, I have only the age information for them, whereas the tenure information shows the null data. On the other hand, the names that are common between the left table and right table have both the information, the age as well as tenure. The same is also in the case of the right join. The right join is going to pick up all the names from the right hand side table, and in this table as well we can see that the names John, Akarsh and Royce are exclusive only to the right hand side table, therefore the age data for that is null. On the other hand, the common names have both the information. Now let's look at the left anti and the right anti table. In the left anti table, it is going to pick up the names only from the age table, but the ones which are exclusive to the age table. So let me go ahead and show you how the table would look like. So let me pick up the left join table, and I would like to place it here just for your reference. So here I paste my left join table, but in this case, if I consider a left anti, so it's going to pick up only the names which are exclusive in the left hand table. So it will remove all the common names. So let's go ahead and delete all the common names. So these are the common names which it would not include in the table. So I have only Phil and Kriti, and that's the only information we will be having in this table. So I'll go ahead and reborder it. Alright. So this is precisely the information that I will be able to get when it comes to a left anti-join. Wherein, when I talk about a right anti-join, let's look at the right hand side table or the right join table. Now, in this table, we have only John, Akarsh and Royce which are present in only the right hand side table. So I would have to delete the common names because these are the only names that it would pick up from our right side table, and that will be the table for my right anti-join. So essentially when I talk about the left anti-join or the right anti-join, it is trying to exclude all the common names that are there between both the tables, and the names that are exclusive in that table will be included in the resultant table as well. So that is what are the different types of joins